do you have money in the bank? Because if so, I think you're making a massive mistake. What should we do instead? Well, you know my answer, it's property. Hello, my name's Rob. I'm known as the Builder Investor. Obviously, I'm just out at the minute, just taking the dog for a walk. You can see him there. So, just thought I'd make a quick video. I invest in property, and I think you're making a huge mistake by keeping your money in the bank at the moment. Obviously, interest rates are nothing to speak of, so you're actually making no money. But inflation's so high, you're actively losing money by keeping that money in the bank. People are so scared at the minute because interest rates for borrowing, they think are high. I think they're normal, to be honest, because back in the past when I bought my first house, they were a hell of a lot higher. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should invest in property and not just leave that money in the bank. So, number 1 is leverage. You need to take advantage of leverage. So if you take, say, maybe £100,000, take it away from your bank account and invest it in something like stocks and shares, that £100,000 will only be worth £100,000. If the stock market goes up, say by 20%, you will make £20,000. With property, if you invest that full £100,000, you can take advantage of mortgages, leveraging that money. So of £100,000, of the 25% deposit, you could buy actually £500,000 worth of property, whether that be one property or 2 or 3. And if the market goes up by 20%, it goes up for the actual price of that property, not just the deposit that you've put down. So on that £500,000 that you've leveraged, with that £100,000 deposit, you've actually made £100,000. That's the beauty of leverage. So number 2, you get paid 3 times. 3 times I hear you scream. How's that possible? Well, 1, you can buy at a discount. So say you buy a property for 120,000 and it was actually worth 140,000. Automatically, straight out the gate, you've made 20 grand on that purchase. So there is a saying that you make money when you buy, not when you sell. That can be true to a certain degree. And the second one, we can make money on rental income. So when we've got that property and we've got it up to a standard that it's, you know, rentable, or maybe you're buying a property with a turnkey investment which is already ready, so you can rent it from day one, you're going to make money from that rental income. And the third one is capital appreciation. So every property obviously appreciates in value, some more than others depending on the demographic where you buy, but as a pretty much rule of thumb, properties generally double every 10 years. So you're going to make profit on the actual capital appreciation of the property. So reason number 3, property actually can become completely passive if you set it up in the right way. So say you get your house, you've bought it for 100 grand, you've done the refurb or a lick of paint or whatever you intended doing to it. Once you've got that property, you can do what's called set and forget, where you use a manager to actually manage the rental, so you don't really need to be involved. So you can just collect that rent and let it appreciate. And the only time that you really need to get involved is for any major issues like a boiler repair. But if you've done the refurb in the first place to a good standard, this should be mitigated for any length of time. Winner. Right, so before we go on to the next point, just like to ask you if you could just nip down to the bottom there and just like and subscribe. Obviously that helps the channel out no end, and you can basically follow my journey on what I'm actually doing in property, what I'm purchasing, how I'm doing the refurbs, We are actually a building company, so you will pick up some building tips along the way, and I know many investors struggle along that side of the actual refurb and the building stage. So yeah, nip down there, like and subscribe if you don't mind, please. Then we move on to the next point. So that point being, you're in control of your asset. Unlike stocks and shares where you basically purchase them and you've got no control what happens, you're just basing it on the market. Wait for that car go past, making a bloody racket. Right, so yeah, you're basically in control of your asset. So you can decide whether you want to add value, whether you want to do a refurb, whether you want to rent it out, whether you want to turn it into an HMO. You have some degree of control to actually control what happens with what profit that's made within that property. Other assets, you don't get this. And then the final reason, and by no means the least, is property pretty much always goes up in value. If you've got a 10-year period, any time throughout the last 1,000 years, property has pretty much doubled over a 10-year period. Yeah, so the past doesn't guarantee the future, but 1,000 years of evidence is pretty good going to go off, isn't it? So yeah, property will always go up in value. So time is always a good thing when you're buying property. A lot of people do ask me the question, is now a good time to buy property? You know, with the interest rates appearing to be high. And my answer will always be, sorry, a bit of mud there, yes. Today is always a good time to invest in property. Regardless of what you think about the interest rates, property will always appreciate. We don't buy property at a specific time, as Warren Buffett says. Basically, we buy property and wait. We don't wait to buy property. Property will always appreciate, and if you're buying property to rely on cash flow, which is still there, if you buy correctly, you can still cash flow property. But if you do that, so with that sole intention, you're buying property for the wrong reasons. Property is about legacy. It's about building wealth. It's about getting time back. It's about putting your money in an asset that we know is not going to depreciate. It's too sex, this dog's wrapping me up in this lead. So yeah, now is a good time to buy property. The only other better time to buy property was 10 years ago. So yeah, don't be fooled by people telling you that the interest rates are too high to buy at the minute, that the market's flatlining, that the market's dipping. All of this is media scaremongering. So essentially, property is always a good investment. It's always going to appreciate. It's always going to go up in value. Basically, all you need is to wait. You need to wait. You need to add time to the mixture. So it's very forgiving, providing you've got that time.